What is going on, Sabres fans? Welcome to another episode of Sabres Spotlight, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
Dude, I can't remember because we took a break last week for All Star, and I can't remember if you said that the episode before All Star, but we got to keep that in because that just fired me up, man. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, last show was the first show that we used it. And then I was thinking, like, before this show, I'm like, what else could we do? I'm like, should we say, like, shining a light through these dark times on the Sabres season or something? But I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we're just going with what we did last time. I think it's got a good ring to it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, dude.
No, all right. So nothing new with me, man. I'll start because I got the only real big thing that happened before or since we spoke last was my 5 year anniversary, which you know a little bit about, but I'll tell the listeners here real quick before I throw it over to you. So 5 years. We got married on February 2nd, 2019. So that week was crazy because I don't know if you remember, but like there was a huge snowstorm that week, and we
Yeah.
were
Oh,
like
listen, I remember specifically because I got some shit to say about your wedding.
so we were all shitting our pants like because we couldn't even see across our street for like the whole week, and we got married on Saturday, of course. So we're like Friday comes and we're like everyone's still home and not moving. We're like, is this even going to happen? But then Friday everything kind of calmed down and the snow was cleared and we were able to get down there. No big deal. Everything went on as usual. It was just a stressor, but for our anniversary, which that 5 years went by so fast. It's just crazy. But we went to Seneca Niagara Casino, which we've never been to, and we don't gamble a whole lot. Like the last time, have we gone to the Hamburg Casino together, us four, like with you
No,
and
we
Lexi?
haven't, and we should. It'd be so much fun, but no,
Yeah,
we have not.
yeah, we totally should. I've been there like a couple times before, but that was even like pre us getting married. Like the last time I was actually in a casino was probably 8 7 8 years ago, and it was like it's before I even had a good job. So I'm spending like I just go with like $30. Like you're not. It's not even exciting that way, but so we went and we got a room, which the room was really nice, and then we ended up winning. Had a nice dinner, and then we ended up winning some money at the casino too. So it was just like a really like nice night out. The kids were at my in laws, so we had some time to just kind of relax and unwind and just kind of enjoy each other, which was cool. So that's pretty much all that's been going on with me. Just trying to kind of rest and recover. I was sick last week, so it's kind of nice that we didn't actually have a show. We were thinking about it, but we deferred. So that was kind of nice because I wasn't feeling too hot last week. But what's new with you?
Okay, well, before I get into what's new with me, dude, you didn't even tell the listeners that you won money. Like, what the fuck, man?
I did
You're
say I won.
you did? Okay, you did.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't want to go into them.
yeah.
It was nothing crazy,
No, it
obviously,
was
but
nothing crazy, but that's so exciting when you like don't expect to win and then you just win, and then like the people around you are like, "Hey, like congratulations, like you won!"
yeah, oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. So that was
dude,
the fun part. That's like
that's
so like
cool.
the best part about it was like I was saying, like we were just doing penny slots. Like that's all we did. We didn't get
Yeah,
on tables or blackjack or anything like that. Honestly, that stuff kind of intimidates me. Like I gotta get more
I know.
comfortable.
Me too. Me too.
Like, I gotta get in the more comfortable in the casino before I start doing that stuff. But so we hit on like it was like a 60 cent bet. That's what we were doing most night, like 60 cents, 75,
Yeah,
88, whatever. Like, because it just kind of runs a little bit. So we hit like on the second machine, and it was for a nice little jackpot, which was kind of cool because then it was kind of low stress the rest of the night. We were kind of
yeah.
playing
You're
with house
automatically
money.
like, all right, we're going home with like not like a crazy like it's not like you guys won a crazy amount, but it's like still you're going home with something
Yeah,
that makes the night even better. Like you no kids, no kids. You don't have to worry about them. You're getting a meal.
yeah.
You're in the like that's just a fantastic night, dude. I love
It was
that. But
so
dude,
cool. Well, and
okay,
like you said, there was someone walking by, and they were like, they saw us hit, just like a younger couple like us, maybe just a touch older, and they were like, "Oh, congratulations!" And then they wanted like a fist bump for some luck, and I told my dad about that. He's like, sometimes you'll get people that are crazy that'll be like, "Oh, give me some of that luck," and they'll be like, "No, no, no, like I'm keeping this for myself."
insane, dude. Okay, so since you talked about like obviously it was your anniversary, your wedding, dude. When we took pictures outside, it was the coldest I've ever been in my entire life. Like amazing pictures, and it was awesome and beautiful, and your wedding was great. But my wife, who was the maid of honor, got sick, and we had to leave your wedding, dude. That
Oh,
do you
that's
remember?
right. That's
You
right.
don't remember?
I
Dude, we
remember.
couldn't even
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stay. We didn't even stay for the music. We ate dinner and we had to leave. Like my parents had to
Yeah.
pick us up. My wife was sick for like 3 days after that.
Oh, I remember that. She felt terrible
Oh,
too, and we're
I
like,
know
bro,
she
like,
did. We were actually just talking about it the other day because obviously we are talking about your anniversary, and she was like, "Man, literally our best friend's fucking wedding, and we couldn't even like stay for the full thing because she got sick."
but
Just
that was
that's
like
how
a
our luck
stomach
was.
thing for her, wasn't it? Like, it wasn't
I
like
don't.
a,
I think so. I don't really remember what was wrong, but she was just like, "I can't stay," and I'm like, "Oh
yeah.
my god, it was pretty bad."
Dude, you're so right about the pictures though. Like I remember because like obviously we went to like three places, and I remember the coldest place that we went was City Hall. The pictures there, it was like a wind tunnel right there.
Yep.
So like City Hall was great, and obviously you guys like came out for like the wedding party came out for some pictures, but then we we needed to get what we needed to get for the photos, but then we are like, all right, like it's like 12 degrees, let's just get them inside, and we stayed outside for more. So like I remember just being so cold, and then that bus just felt like so
Oh,
great when
dude,
we finally got
it
on
was
it, bro.
so funny. Like, yeah, we have our suits on and shit, but like the women, man, those dresses must have been
Yeah.
fucking freezing. Like,
Oh my god.
at least, like the way I thought about it in the moment, I don't think I've ever told you, but like, whatever, you're gonna be cold. You're the husband. Just like, suck it up. Don't be a bitch. But like, at least Katie was wearing like a big ass wedding dress, so like at least she had something. But these girls in there, like, cute dresses like the
The
wedding
bridesmaids, yeah.
the bridesmaids. I'm like, oh my god, man, I felt so bad. But we all know how that night turned out for us, and obviously it was one of the best days of your guys' lives. But
Yeah,
dude,
it was awesome.
okay, so let's get into me for a minute. So I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing right now because I'm not gonna get into detail, but there's some like exciting shit happening in my life right now, and like obviously and I'm like I would never share it on the podcast until like I'm ready to share that whole thing.
I got you. Yep.
Man, I'm just like fucking buzzing about life lately, so it's pretty good. But dude, do you guys listen to music when you take showers or no? Like, do you have like
I
a
generally listen to podcasts, but
okay,
I do have
okay,
I do some either or, but mainly podcasts, yeah.
okay? So this is a transition here. So we listen. My wife listens to music or podcasts in the shower. I generally don't. So we have a little Bluetooth thing in our bathroom. Um, and she came home, like did her thing, took a shower, whatever. So I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm sitting there. This is like later in the night. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting on the fucking shitter. Okay, this is for a visual for everyone. I'm sitting there, mid piss. My wife plays a fucking song. Doesn't realize she's still connected to the Bluetooth at max volume. I am mid piss. I get scared. I jump and I just I start pissing just everywhere in my bathroom. I was terrified. So for like 2 seconds, I'm like, oh my god, what was that? I jump up off the toilet bowl. She texts me. She's like dying laughing. She's
I
just
thought
like,
for a second you were gonna say that you shit yourself,
no, I
like
just no,
legit shit. I
I
was like,
sat
well,
up
that's a
off
good
the fucking
location for that.
I sat up off the toilet bowl and was like still like just pissing on my wall. I was so mad, dude. I had to obviously clean it up, but like, oh my god, I was so scared. This thing is right behind my head. Like, my bathroom. The
Yeah.
speaker is behind my head, so she's playing literal like loud music, and I'm like, whoa. And it was just that was like it was so funny, man. Like I just had to share that because it was like the visuals are hilarious for that.
Oh yeah, we definitely done that before too, where like you don't think you're connected anymore, and then you play something, and it's just like scares the shit out of you. But that is funny. That is funny. What was do you know remember what the song was? It was just something loud.
Dude, okay, so weirdly enough, it was oh my god, it was this BYOB by System of a Down. Like who why is my wife listening to System of a Down? So it was like a heavier song and I'm like,
It's a
holy so
banger.
I was scared. I was like, what the fuck is that?
That is
Oh my
funny.
god.
Oh, nice, nice. I love that. I love that. All right, well, let's we'll start around the league here. Just kind of run through some topics here real quick before we get into the Sabres. Sabres, we got some things we want to talk about tonight as far as the discussion goes. Like always, there's only been one game since the break, and we'll go through that in just a little bit here. But going around the league to start, we'll start with the Winter Classic. So we heard just a couple days ago the news came through Winter Classic 2025 No surprise, Connor Bedard's going to be in it, and it will be in Chicago, Wrigley Field, with the St. Louis Blues against the Chicago Blackhawks. What are your initial thoughts to this here, Ryan? I think that's
I'm not.
pretty exciting.
No, it's not exciting at all. I think it's a fucking disgrace, personally, because Chicago has played in so many Winter Classics lately, like over the last 10 years. I'm just so sick of them. I'm sick of the Blackhawks already. And
Yeah, but you
obviously,
knew it was coming because of Bedard.
yeah, because of Bedard, of course. It's happening, but it's like, really, dude, again, like another one? Like, come
Yeah.
on, man. It's so whatever. It'll be cool to see Bedard playing one, but like, geez, man, I'm so sick of the team.
Yeah, I mean St. Louis is wood. I mean,
Yeah, they're a rival,
nothing.
so it's
Yeah,
fun. It's fun though. But
yeah.
still,
So I mean,
goddamn.
as far as like the teams go, outside of like Bedard, nothing like super like excites me with that. But Wrigley Field is cool. I mean, there's definitely like a lot of nostalgia there, and I think that'll look. I don't know if it's ever. You said they played a lot. Has it ever been at Wrigley before? I don't even know.
I'm actually not sure the locate. It has to have been because they've had so many, dude.
Yeah, so
Like
maybe
whether
it
they've been
has,
home
but
or away, so it has to have been.
yeah, yeah, but it should look cool. I always like the outdoor games, so that's kind of cool. I'll have to look up if there's a date for that yet. I don't know if they have that actually ironed out yet or not. But
Well, it's always the
uh,
1st of January.
oh, is it just always the first?
Yeah,
Oh well, there you go. Okay, all right. So then we had a couple big trades here, Ryan. I'll let you
dude.
kind of go through
Oh,
here.
I love trades, man. Trades are so much fun. So Winnipeg is loading up, man. They acquired Sean Monahan from Montreal for a first and a third, first in 2024 in this upcoming draft and a third round pick in 2027. And dude, the funny thing about this is I'm so happy for Sean Monahan. This guy has dealt with injuries like in the latter half of his career, just injuries to the point where people were unsure if he'd ever play again. And then he actually, when he was traded from the Flames to the Canadians, the Flames gave Montreal a first round pick to take him. And then Montreal goes and turns Sean Monahan into another first round pick. So that's awesome for him to rehabilitate his career. And I think he's going to be great in Winnipeg. He's exactly what they need for like a third line center there.
Hmm.
And it's great for Montreal to just double cash in first round picks on the same player. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, I was just looking at his age, so he's like 29. So I feel
Yeah,
like
dude,
that's not.
I've heard 4 different podcasts this year or this week that have asked how old do you think Sean Monahan is, and every single podcast was like, "Oh, he's got to be like 33,"
Yeah, so
and he's
that's why I
still in
wanted to
his
look.
20s, man.
Because you think you know the return back for him is like a first round pick, that's pretty surprising, like to retain the value that you were initially kind of traded for is one thing. I mean, obviously guys go up in value, but I think a lot go down in it. But being that he's still 29, I mean there's still a lot of promise there. And Winnipeg, man, I mean, talk about a season that nobody really saw coming. Maybe they did, but I mean they're only 3 points out of first in the West, so they're like right there, and they got a couple games in hand on Dallas and things. So yeah, I mean it makes sense for them, right? Try and bolster things a little bit and see what they can do there. You got Hellebuck playing the way he's playing, so kind of nice to see them go ahead and make a move. And then of course, the other deal here, my Canucks, my second team, they're going all in. This is the second big trade for them, right? So
Yep, yeah, because
they
they acquired Zadorov earlier.
yeah, they're just like best friends with Calgary over here, just doing deals left and right with the Calgary Flames. So they get Elias Lindholm from Calgary for a 2024 first round and a 2024 conditional fourth round forward, Andre Kuzmenko, and then a couple prospects. So an interesting trade here. I mean, Calgary is definitely trying to. They have like a nice little kind of core set in place, but they're definitely loading up on some assets and talents too. And Elias or Lindholm obviously adds a little bit more of a depth to the Vancouver Canucks top couple lines. But what are your thoughts as far as this trade goes?
Dude, Vancouver is so they're like the NHL's fun team this year, and it's so great that earlier in the year you're like, I think I'm gonna ride with Vancouver. Like you're just gonna ride with them. And their team, I was looking at it
And I
like
have
their
like all their players on my fantasy team too.
yeah,
So
you love them, dude. It's great. Their stats are like their numbers are absolutely hilarious. Like they have like all-time highs in shooting percentage and like they barely create any offense, but like when they do, they score. And Lindholm, while he's not like the player he was a couple of seasons ago, he's still a really good like two-way winger. And they got rid of Andrei Kuzmenko, who is a scorer, but like really nothing else. And he wasn't really playing anymore. Like Rick Tocchet like kind of hated him. So to offload him and upgrade on the wing is pretty nice for Vancouver, and it's just fun to see a team like this like load up. Like Vancouver was going through a lot of shit for the last couple years, and to see them like make multiple moves and to I want to watch them in the playoffs so bad. Like I can't wait for it. I can't wait. Like especially after last year when they traded, Bo Horvat, they traded their captain away, and then this year they're this good. It's fantastic for them. And with these two teams, man, between them and Edmonton, and I'm sure I'm forgetting another team here.
what,
The Cup
Vegas?
has, well, I'm talking about this. Here's my point. The Cup might come back to Canada for the first
Oh,
time
gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
since
yeah,
1993.
yeah.
These teams are good. Like these teams are legitimate playoff
Well,
contenders.
Winnipeg. I mean,
Yeah, Winnipeg,
throw
Edmonton,
Winnipeg
and
in there.
Vancouver
Yeah,
are the big three.
yeah. Toronto's not getting it done.
Yeah, that's why I omitted them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But man, what you're fucking Canucks, man. You're Canucks. I love it.
Dude, I mean, like, it makes sense, right? I mean, there's nothing I love more than like when a franchise like is looking at their team and they reward their guys and it makes sense for them to do it. I mean, right now they're 7 points clear of Vegas in the Pacific, so they have a legitimate shot at locking up that number one seed. And do you want, dude? They're plus 60 for goal differential. Like
Dude, they're
they're
scoring
insane.
like crazy. Like I said, I think I read earlier. Uh, they're like 32nd or 31st in rush, like total chances created off the rush, but they're first in shooting percentage.
Yeah,
So like it's totally unsustainable, and I
yeah.
don't know if like trading assets like first round picks for a player is pretty smart for like the future. But man, when you're on a bender like this all season, you kind of got to cash in, and you owe it to your team, like you said, to do something like this.
Yeah,
So
you got to try it out
they
because
might.
if they have home if they have like a home ice advantage throughout the playoffs, that's a big deal. I mean, in the NHL, like I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you get in, you have a chance, obviously, and then having the home ice is a big thing. So I mean, it's not like I think they definitely have like a roster that's capable of it. Maybe it's not the most sustainable, but if you just get that one magical season where you just catch lightning in a bottle for 82 games and then a little streak in the playoffs, you never know. And if you get it done, I mean, hey, what the hell?
And there's another point here with like so Elias Pettersson, he hasn't really committed to them like at all. Like there's a lot of rumors that say he wants out, but and obviously he's going to be like one of the highest paid players in the league. He's one of the best forwards in the league, maybe like a top 5, top 10 player. And if he doesn't actually want to be there, then I think kind of you have to cash in now and go all in and try to win a cup while he's still there. So I bet that that's like kind of their thought process too.
Yeah, yeah, but big deals. I feel like this is a little bit unconventional too, right? You usually see like kind of early for trades. A lot of the stuff usually gets done kind of closer to the deadline, but Vancouver definitely. I mean, I applaud them. Like you said, they know what they want and they go and get it done. And you have. I mean, the trade deadline's March 8th, so 30 days away. So you have an extra month with these guys to get them assimilated into the roster and playing with your guys than if you were to kind of wait till closer to that deadline and acquire them closer to that. So that is an interesting thing, but I applaud them for doing it and excited to kind of see what happens with there. They'll be my playoff hockey team since the Sabres will be at home during that time. But that gets us to All-Star Weekend, and Sabres, of course, had Darlene representing us for the second straight year. Did you catch a lot of the festivities? I caught like a little bit of the games. I didn't really see any much of the skill stuff other than like the highlights.
I did not. I did not. Like I kind of just wanted to tune out hockey for the week, and I didn't really see much. Like I saw a couple clips on the internet, and but I did from what I've seen, everyone is lauding the praises of the NHL. Like I know, like everyone was kind of saying it's kind of lame that like only 8 guys are participating in skills, but from everything I've heard, everyone had a great time, and everyone kind of loved what the NHL had to provide this year, which is great because dude, we didn't even put it in our docket, but this is the last All Star game for a couple years
Oh yeah, why is that?
because next year, the NHL is doing the Four
Is it
Nations
the
tournament
okay? Yeah, yeah.
between between the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland, and then the following year is the Olympics.
And
So
so it's
there's
in
no
place of
more.
that.
Yep. So
Well,
there's
not in place, but yeah,
no more All Star game.
interesting. So they'll probably still have like nominations, like in like an
Yeah,
all
there'll
star
be an All
team
Star
and like
team, but just no game.
yeah, yeah. That's interesting. But like you said, yeah, I did hear lots of good things, and people had a lot of praise for like Toronto and like their setup and stuff. I mean, that makes sense. I mean,
We got to
Toronto's
talk about
obviously
Tate
huge in
McRae.
hockey, but
Tate McRae is so hot, it's insane.
I didn't even know who she was until you like mentioned it, and then I like looked her up, and I was like, oh yeah,
She's a
but yeah,
fine looking gal.
she's a singer. Is that who she
Yeah,
is?
she's a singer from
She's
Canada.
yeah. The name sounds familiar, but I didn't know. And then like I said, you mentioned something to me, so I looked and it was like, yeah, she is definitely pretty. Um, all right, so then Oilers, they could not do it. They fall one short of the all time record or tying the record. So the record set. We talked about it a little bit last time. 17 games was the record for consecutive wins, and they get to 16. They lose to the Vegas Golden Knights last night, but a hell of a comeback. I mean, they went from the basement of the Pacific to the third team. I mean, they're number three in the division right now. So a nice run for them. I'm a little sad because I wanted to see them break it, to be honest. But
Me too. I mean, that streak was held by the '90s Penguins with like Lemieux and Yager and like a ton of other like Hall of Fame players, and it's like you want to see a streak like that broken, but they couldn't get it done. And it was looking great because at the beginning of the game they went up 1-0 because they had a 2-0 with McDavid and Draisaitl, and I mean that's an automatic goal right there. But
oh yeah.
they couldn't score any more goals after that, and unfortunately lost. But hey, like you said, hell of a run for them. That's great.
See, I mentioned on the last show that like, which I think I have to walk back a little bit now that like maybe the All Star game's coming at a good time too because you get a little break. But then I also am like, man, when you're playing like that though, you just want to kind of keep rolling and stuff. So maybe that actually hurt them a little bit. I don't know,
Yeah, it could have.
but last bit of news here, we have another firing. Kings fire head coach Todd McClellan. So this was interesting. I mean, the Kings are obviously, we talked about them last show. They're in a huge spiral right now. I believe they're actually out of the. Oh, and they're still technically in the
They're
wild.
still in.
They're the top wild card, but there's a few teams right on them. But I mean, yeah, they're on a huge downward slide, and I think there's still a lot of people who are a bit shocked by the firing just because of the success McClellan had. But I mean, and the general manager, owner, whoever came out in support of him, not too long ago, and then all
Yeah,
of a
like a
sudden
week
you get this
ago.
news. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get this news, and it's not. It's shocking to a degree, but also not because that's what happens to NHL coaches that aren't named Don Granato. So what do you think?
This team is so weird. Like they pretty much just stopped scoring. Like they're just
Yeah.
not scoring, and their roster is good. Like this is a good team. But for some whatever, this has been the kiss of death for like every single team that has gotten a coach fired this year. Like if you stop putting the puck in the net, like that's pretty much a death knell for the coach, and it's kind of unfortunate because I think McClellan is a good coach. Like he was really good in San Jose, and just with the Kings, I feel like they've been good every year he's been there, and then he just gets canned, and they bring it, they like promote Jay Hiller, or I think that's his name. I've never heard of this guy in my life, so it's like how I wonder how the players are going to react to him as like an assistant and coming up to
Oh, they'll win like 5 in a row because that's what
Probably.
happens.
I mean, they won their last one. They're on a 1-game win streak. So
Yeah, they're
like,
gonna go on a little run.
it's weird, man. It's weird. The NHL's crazy. Like you get a new coach bump and everything is all right in the world. But hey, it's McClellan will find a new job. Hey, maybe he's the next Sabres coach. You never know.
That's yeah. I mean, all these firings are in a way like somewhat good for the Sabres because you're getting. I mean, there's guys that are out there in the market. Real quick, funny story about the Los Angeles Kings before we get into the Sabres here. So a couple weeks ago, so we beat the Kings like a couple weeks ago, like before the All Star break, and I had a patient that same night, and this dude's so funny, and he was betting on hockey later that night. And this is the first time I met this guy, and I was telling him about our show. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I do a hockey podcast. He's got a podcast that he does as well, and he's like, what do you think about the Sabres tonight? He goes, should I bet the Sabres or should I bet the Kings? I'm like, oh, bet the Kings. I'm like, we fucking suck. and then he was all hyped because the Kings were up 3-0. He's like, and then I wake up and you guys won 5-3, and I was so pissed. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm sorry I let you down. I'm like, I think the rationale was there. But yeah, he wasn't mad about it, but he's just like, yeah, he's like, I just should have just stuck with the Sabres. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I convinced you to go with the Kings.
That's so fun. I mean, hey, you never go wrong betting against the Sabres, but they kind of let your guy down there.
Yeah, I feel like we won the game before too, so I'd have to go back and look, but I'm like,
We
no, we
did because it
cannot.
was San Jose.
Yeah, I'm like, so we can't. First off, we can't win back to back games, and I'm like, the Kings are probably just gonna pump us and
No,
whatever. But
I lied, dude. The game before was the Anaheim game where we got pumped.
oh yeah, so I should have known, but
Yeah, you should have known they were gonna come out firing. That's funny as hell.
because
That's
that'll
why.
happen again in a month. You know, they'll
That's
they'll have
why
some shit effort. They'll lose like
gambling is
10-3, and
bad.
then they'll
Never
win.
gambling is bad. Never gamble because we all suck at it.
All right, well let's get into our beloved Sabres here. They had the week off last week. They come back and the first game back against the Dallas Stars. So admittedly a tough first game back, but after a rest, I don't think they looked half bad in this game. I actually think they probably were the better team. They had a ton of shots. I think Darlene himself had 15 shots attempted, 8 on goal. The power play actually looked semi-functional for a couple attempts, and UPL played good in net as well. Came up with some big saves. I know on Money Puck he had 7 high danger saves, and then six high danger saves and 7 medium danger saves. So I mean the Stars had their opportunities. UPL had another strong performance. Unfortunately, they just can't get the puck in the net. Aside from actually generating some good offense all night, but what's your reaction to first game back here from the break?
Well, we got to lead in first with just being sad about Jack Quinn because I'm pretty sure he broke his ankle in that last game. Is that what they came out with? That it was an ankle injury,
Yeah,
and
I
he's out
forgot to
for
go
six
back
to
and
eight
look.
weeks.
But there was a Adams talking on the pregame the other night. He mentioned something, and I forget exactly what it was. But something about I know he needed surgery, and I don't know if he said there were screws involved or something, or he said something like relating to the bone. I was like, all right, well, there's our answer. We kind of talked about it either being like probably a bone issue or an ankle sprain, and it looks like it was probably the bone.
Which is that better? Probably maybe is that it actually broke than just being like a sprain that could linger over the summer
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
I
affect his training maybe.
yeah, I think that's definitely better just because like the first off like the bone like is one of the few tissues in the body that like actually like regenerates to like pretty much where it was before. Like a lot of other tissues like a ligament like if it gets sprained or torn like when it heals it's not the same. Like it's weaker than it was before. It can function but it loses its job. That's why like when someone like repeatedly sprains their ankle like they have the more it happens, the more laxity or like instability they have because it just never goes back to 100% the way it was. So, being that it's a bone issue, that's probably actually a better scenario. Like I was happy when I heard that it was that as opposed to like a ligamentous injury, which yeah can linger longer. It doesn't get as much of a good blood supply, so healing times can be more variable and healing rates can be a little bit slower. So that's actually, despite the bad news, a little bit of good news, I think, just like prognostically kind of sprinkled in there.
Hockey's such a weird sport, man, because like I feel like Quinn has had injury problems throughout his whole, you know, early career. He had a hernia, he had the Achilles over the summer, and he just came back and he was looking pretty great. And now this injury, and I'm pretty sure he had a shoulder injury in his draft year, maybe the year before.
Yeah.
But man, like this guy was looking so good on
Yeah.
return, and
Oh, yeah.
it's just unfortunate because he's another fun player, another good player we have to watch, and now he's gone, and I'm pretty sure the Sabres where they are in the standings, like if he comes back, like if he's able to come back for like the last 7, 8, 9 games, I think the team would probably shut him down for the season and just roll it in the next year, and that sucks, man. Him, like I feel like him, Cousins and Paterka were really like gelling again, like they were
Oh,
last
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So big ups for Jack Quinn. Hopefully he has like a nice summer and this is the end of his injuries and then we get a great like top six winger for years to come. But man,
Yeah.
the other injury that really sucks too, kind of, because I wanted to see if he could like have a better second half than first like final 30 games than first half is Samuelson, and the man made of glass is done for the season with an upper body injury. And this guy, man, he was so either below average to bad to just injured all the time, and not the best way to play the year before your 7 year extension kicks in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's like, to me, like the Samuelson injury, like I don't know. I honestly don't care as much about it. Like obviously I care about him, like for as a person, as a player, it sucks to get injured. But like if that means like I gotta give like Ryan Johnson more time, like honestly, I'm totally fine with that. Like Ryan Johnson played like a beast last game. And aside from like Samuelson like eating up a lot of minutes and the Sabres needing to replace that, I think like it's not like a huge loss on the ice in terms of like actually like what he contributes to the team, aside from like he is good at blocking shots, but aside from that, it's more so just that chunk of ice time that the Sabres need to replace. The Quinn injury sucks. I would be very surprised if he comes back this season. Like I said, I think they'll probably just shut him down, and that makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, Samuelson. I mean, I'm pretty much out on him. Like, I hope he comes back and plays good next year, but I also hope that maybe we have another D man or two, and he can really just kind of be like on a third pair or fourth pair and just playing less minutes. Ideally, probably the third pair, but
Dude, so I can actually, because it's so funny that like you gave your comments on the game and then I went off on introducing this tangent on the injuries, but
I
I
know
guess
you
I
threw
can
me
give
for a
my
curveball there, but I'm like, we can get into this.
Dude, so last night, so this is where I'm at with the Sabres. And you know what's funny? I thought about Eric before I shout out Eric. I thought about you before wanting to make this comment. I've been thinking about this all day. I am pretty sure that there is a good team within the Buffalo Sabres. And if their top guys didn't play like pumpkins for the first half of the season, Darlene, besides getting points, I thought he was been. I mean, we touched on so many times, like terrible. Cousins forgot how to play hockey for half the year. Quinn was gone. We every week we're like, well, the only thing that is positive to talk about is Paterka and Benson hasn't scored in 20 games.
Yeah, Tage has
So
been injured. I mean, your big guns are
it's
all.
I think that like the combination of the pressure, and I know it's no excuse because they're professionals, but they're still the youngest team in the league.
Yeah,
So pressure and expectation and one of the league's worst power plays ruined this season because almost every game this year at 5-on-5, I felt we have played very well besides doing the one thing you need to do and putting the puck in the net. Like last night I felt like we really took it to San Jose, like for a full period, like
Dallas.
full or yes, Dallas. Oh my God, green, they're green, they're green,
Yeah,
oh, they're
agreed.
they're
Yeah,
all green. Dallas, thank you. But I felt like we took it to them, and Andre was insane. Andre was pissing me off. He was
yeah.
so good.
Oettinger was good.
He's great. But like you said,
But he's been kind of just
the
average, honestly, like
yeah,
this year. But like
but
we
no,
made
when he
him look
plays the
great, of
Sabres,
course, because we
when he
can
plays the
never just score.
Sabres, yeah,
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
plays the Sabres, he turns into the Vezina caliber goalie that he is, of course.
yes,
But the fact that like the offense creation and even the defense at 5-on-5 and combined with UPL kind of having a breakout season in net
yeah.
leads me to
I
believe
would
that
totally say that.
this sucks. Obviously, this season sucks, and the coaching was not up to par. I'm very open to just having an entire new group of coaches, and if they don't get rid of Granado, at least have an entirely new group of assistant coaches for some new ideas. But more and more, I think that the season kind of just boils down to a shit power play and bad luck, which is awful to say because it's been, 50 plus games. But watching them play, it's like there are stretches of a good team here, and it stinks, man. It's very unfortunate, and it's very difficult to pin down because I don't think it's as doom and gloom as a lot of people do, and I know you agree that it's not like the worst thing ever.
No, I totally agree. And we mentioned that last time about like how I was feeling like I'm optimistic about where we are despite the season because of the pieces. And I think I think you're kind of bang on here. Like I feel like the unfortunately it was just the wrong couple pieces were brought in. Like the additions we made were Clifton and were Johnson. Like if we made consider because I do think we are only like a couple pieces away from getting
At
into the
least making
playoffs.
playoffs, at least a
Exactly.
playoff
Yeah.
team.
So like if it was just if Adams just pulled the right levers and made those right decisions early on and got just a little bit more well-rounded of a roster, then I don't think it would have been as bad as it is now. And like I said, like I don't totally blame them for I mean, I do and I don't. Like they this is the first year they're adjusting to playing with pressure and things, and so I know you're going to grip the stick tighter. They'll be better next season for that, but which is good. Now you just need the GM to kind of get in there. But yeah, I think they're only a couple pieces away from being in that contention and that can happen next year. Like it's not happening this year, but it can totally happen this year. I want to get okay. So I told you I had an exercise I wanted to do. You
Well,
mentioning, go ahead.
can I do my
Yeah, go
thing
ahead. Go
first?
ahead.
It's very quick. So with you mentioning that, Adams kind of was I my thoughts have changed over the last couple weeks. I am pinning this season on Kevin Adams, like mostly, for not, like you said, pulling the right levers. Well, Elliot Friedman is the biggest insider in the game, and he comes out with not only the podcast episodes of 32 Thoughts with Jeff Merrick, but he has a written column every week where he gives like actually 32 thoughts. And he had some Buffalo tidbits in there, and Buffalo tidbits are rare because he never really we don't really
Because we're
give him much
boring.
to we don't really yeah we really don't give him much. But here let me you haven't seen this, so let me
No,
read
I have
this.
not seen this.
Let me see this little paragraph and read it to you. So he said, Buffalo's got a lot of good prospects, a talented group that's not yet in the NHL. Over the next few months, it's very possible some will be used to get what the Sabres need. There's not room for all of them, and teams always wrestle when someone outgrows the AHL. I'm very curious to see which young Sabres get a look over the next little while. He also added, I expect Eric Johnson moves. That's a no-brainer for a contender.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I think that's a foregone conclusion. The Eric Johnson piece. So
But dude, do you think that over the summer Kevin Adams will finally nut up and use some of his young players and pieces to get some fucking guys in here, man? Just enough with this. We have this pool of prospects. Like as much as I love the prospects and it's so much fun to follow them, you have to you have to move them in the right situations to get guys on your NHL roster. And the amount of guys we have to move is we have a surplus and not enough room.
yeah. I mean, honestly, like if you think about it, like guys like Savoy and Kulik, like they may never like their peak value might be now. Like because
Yep.
like say Savoy comes into the league next year and then he's on his ELC and he's like not what we thought. Like he doesn't like his value goes down. And like Kulik, like he's having this good year. Granted, he's in a little bit of a cold stretch right now, but he just tore it up at the World Juniors. If he gets hot towards the end of the year, like that's peak value for a guy like Kulik. Like you have to trade them with these players when they're at their highest. Like you said, there's not enough room for them. I think I think Adams will make a move because I think that he has to, but I also think he'll make a move because it's got to be somewhat easy. Like you have all these pieces. Like you're not strapped with assets. Like you have these things, so you can't. You literally have the ammo to go and make a move. So I think he will get things done. I just hope it's I just hope it's what we're all looking for,
Yeah,
and
watch. He's
it's
gonna.
gonna come.
I just had a horrible thought come into my head where he's like, where I read that and I hear what you're saying, and he's like, okay, I'll trade Peyton Krebs and Ryan Johnson.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you're a bigger Krebs fan than I am. I don't dislike Krebs. But I would honestly tomorrow, like, I would trade Krebs if like the
Yeah,
right,
I would be fine
if
with
it,
it. I'd be fine.
yeah,
I mean, if
yeah,
someone values him for what for something bigger than what I just think he's going to be a fourth line player. Like
yeah,
I don't see him ever being higher up in the lineup, even though he kind of deserves that shot. But that's a discussion for another day.
yeah,
But the fact that the number one insider in the game is kind of saying that Buffalo has a lot of assets and they're kind of open to moving them. Combine that with Adam's demeanor yesterday on the broadcast before the game.
yeah,
I really think that he had a look in the mirror and was like, I messed this up. Like this didn't go the way I pictured and we got to change course. And that can be the best thing for this organization in the long term.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing with Adams. It's like I think it was maybe it was Chicklets who was talking about it or 32 Thoughts. I can't remember, but they were saying how the whatever franchise it was, they were hiring their coach and they were saying how typically they look for a head coach that's going into their second job because they learn from the mistakes of the first job and stuff.
It
And
was Elliot Friedman. Elliot Friedman
okay,
did say that.
so that made perfect sense to me. And like I gotta like here's the thing, like Adams, it's his first gig as a GM. Like I know he's been around the league and he's been around hockey, but like this is the first year in his role. So like I'm kind of viewing year two. I think this is technically this his second year or his third year.
His
So this
third, but I
is year
mean
two.
that first year with Kruger, I
Yeah.
think Kruger was running the show.
Yeah. So I mean, like, so this is like the second year of like
This is his
expectations and
team.
things like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like he's running the show now. So like I feel like not that I give him a pass for this season because it's still a fail in my book. Like I think you could have gotten there this year if you made the right moves, but I also at the end of the day have to sit back and be like, listen, like he's learning too. So like, but like next year is the year. Like you gotta nut up and you gotta do it. Otherwise, like we've already been waiting 13 years. Where we can't just keep waiting more. Like you got to get this done at some point. So, yeah, I'm willing to give him a little bit of leeway, but I do place a majority of the blame on him as opposed to Granado. I do agree with you when it comes to that, but. I want to go back to you mentioned the power play, and I had an exercise that I planned out specifically for this because in the past we've talked about how many points do we think that the power plays actually cost this
Oh,
team.
oh no. Yeah.
We're gonna figure it out right now. We're gonna figure it out
Okay.
right now. All right.
Damn.
So
Okay.
I have a list. I have every loss from this season, and I have the goal differential in that game, and then I have our power play statistics. And
Oh
I
my God.
want to.
This is why this is the number one Sabres podcast to come to because we're gonna give you the hard hitting stats like this.
So we're gonna go through one by one, and we'll come to a consensus about whether or not we if we would award more points or not. I also marked down which of these losses went to overtime, and we got a point in. So this is going to be really really accurate as far as this goes. So
Okay.
some will be easy, and some we'll have to think about. First loss against the New York Rangers, we lost 5-1. We were so at -4. We were 0 for 3 on the power play. That's a loss. We're not giving any points for that,
Okay.
right?
We were at that game.
Yeah.
We got fucking manhandled. That was like, what the fuck did we just do? Like, what was that? Yeah.
All right, second loss was against the Islanders. We lost by 1, so it was a -1. Our power play was 0 for 2. So we ask ourselves, do we give ourselves a loser point there, or do we say that's just still a loss?
Well, it's so funny because I can like vividly remember these games. I'm pretty sure that in that game we did not have a full 2 minute power play.
Probably
Like
not. So that's fine. You want to put that as an L? I don't
that's
remember
fine.
all that stuff, but I know like our
I
first
do.
like 10 power plays were like all like kind of whatever.
Yeah. So next one. Next
Okay,
one. This
all
is
right.
fun. I like this.
So we're giving that an L. Okay, then we lost
Yep.
to Calgary -1. Our power play that game was 1 for 5.
Yeah. No, that's a W right there.
So we're saying a win on that.
Should have been a dub.
All right, so we're going with the win. So right there, we got 2 more points in the standings. All right, I'm going to put that there. Next, Montreal, we lose -2, and we are 1 for 5.
Fucking goddamn, dude! 5 power plays and they get 1 goal. Yeah, that's another.
We
Can we
can't
chalk it
say.
up
I
to?
mean, so
Let's
if you
chalk it
give
up
them
to an OT.
two and they go three
Let,
for five, then that's a 1 point.
yeah, chalk it up to it. They scratch for an OTL. The OTL there.
All right, so we're gonna say a loss, but we're giving them a loser point. So they would have went 3 for 5 in that game, which is hard to do. But I mean, but whatever. We can that's fine. I'm cool with that. All right, then we lose to the Devils by one -1. Power play was 0 for 2 in that
That's
game.
just a regular loss. Over two, it happens. It
All right.
happens.
Yep, 0 for 2 happens. Okay, so we're giving them a loss there. All right. Next one is a no-brainer. We lost a -4 loss to Philly. We only had 2 power plays, so that's an L no matter what.
Oh my
Uh,
god, do you remember that game? We got destroyed.
yeah, we got destroyed that game. Carolina is next. We lose by 1. Power plays 1 for 4.
Oh my god.
Now we took this game to overtime, so we
Then let's just
did.
leave it at a loser point. Leave it at a loser point.
So well, we could, or we could say, all right, if we go better than 1 for 4, do we not go to overtime? Do we get the actual win, and then we just give ourselves 1 more point?
Fuck it, let's do it. I want to see where it comes out to. Let's do it.
So we're giving ourselves 1 point for that. Because if we don't go to overtime, like if we get the job done during regulation, we don't even need to go to overtime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if they're 50-50 that game, they get it done. So, all right. So we're giving ourselves a point there. So next is a no brainer. -4 on the goal differential. We lost to Pittsburgh. I think that was the shutout 4-0. So that's staying. We lose by a -3 to Boston. 0 for 2 on the power play. That's a loss.
That's
We
a
can
loss,
mark
yeah.
those in. Yep, couple bad games there. Next, Winnipeg. We lose by 1. 0 for 2 on the power play.
Still gonna be a loss because it's like impossible to score on Telebuck.
All right, so we're going to mark that as a loss. Next, we lose by 1 to Washington. 1 for 3 on the power play.
Still a loss. 1 for 3 is good enough.
Okay, we took that to overtime, so we got 1 point
Okay.
there. So we'll
That might
keep
have been
that
a
the same.
shootout. That might have
That
been a
was a shootout.
shootout
That was a shootout.
because Netsov did his fucking stupid move where he goes in all slow and scored. Absolute asshole.
These next few games are a little are crazy. We were just so ass right here. Then we lose by 5 to the Devils. I remember this game. We
Oh
got
my
absolutely
god.
pumped. We were actually 2 for 2 on the power play, but that's a loss anyways. Then we lose to St. Louis by 2. We were 0 for 3 on the power play, but we're probably still marking that a loss. Carolina, we got pumped again. We lose by 4. And we were 0 for 5 on the power play, but that's still a loss anyways. I mean, we lost by 4, so we're not getting that. Nashville, we lose by 1. We did not even have a power play in this game.
Oh god. Because Nashville played a perfectly clean game, didn't they?
So that's gonna stay as a loss. Detroit, all right, -2, and we are 2 for 5. So that can stay as a loss. I'm
Yep.
totally fine with that. All right, this next one, we lose to Montreal by 1. We're 0 for 5 on the power play.
Oh my god, yeah. Give it a win.
So we legit lost that game because of power play. We're giving that.
Yeah, that's
We
legitimately a power play loss.
we did go to overtime that game, so we really just gained 1 point there. So I'm marking that down as just 1 because we stole 1, but we're gonna give ourselves a win in our made up mind. We got pumped by Colorado by 4, so that game's lost. That doesn't matter. Arizona, -2 goal differential. We only had 1 power play, so that's sticking as a 1. And then we
I
had
was fucked up during that game, by the way. That was my
that
work Christmas party.
that was
I
the
was
work party.
hammered. I was hammered for that one.
So then there was a game I went to where we were all booing for Granado get fired against Columbus, where we
Oh
go,
man.
yeah. So
Was that the
that's
9-1?
That was the
whatever.
9-4. We
Oh
lost by
my
5.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my, you. That's when you posted the picture of you and Katie in the whole row for yourselves.
Yeah. All right. So then next game, we lose to the Rangers by 1. Power play is 0 for 1.
I'm 0 for 1. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. We did take that to overtime, so we got a point there.
I think that
Then
pisses me off more for the fact that I know that we probably got manhandled and didn't get more than one power play.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Boston, we lose by 3. 0 for 6 on the power play in this game.
Holy shit! Over
I mean, we're
over
probably
six.
not going
I
3
mean,
for 6,
okay.
and it's Boston,
Even
so
if yeah, even if like you go 2 for 6, it's still an L. But didn't I'm
yeah.
pretty sure we also had a 5-on-3 in this game. I gotta I will look
You might
later
be right. You might be
off
right.
air. But over 6, man. I'm just, at least get one. Fuck.
All right, then we lose by Ottawa by 4, and we're 0 for 3. That's still staying a loss.
Yeah,
Um,
that game pissed me off too. There's been a lot of games that have pissed me off.
Seattle -3. We're 0 for 1. That's going to stay as a loss. Seattle game was kind of a dud. Here's one. Vancouver -1, and we're 0 for 3 on the power play.
Dude, this game was another one where we fucking dominated them at 5 on
Yep.
5.
Yep.
Demko was unbelievable in this game. So this was a very similar game to last night's Dallas one.
But 0 for 3 on the power
However,
play, man. I mean, we
yeah,
could
we
even
should
get
have won.
one, right?
Yeah,
You should have got at least to overtime. And then are we giving
yeah,
ourselves a win in overtime? Or
yeah.
are we
We are. We're
staying just
winning in
1 point?
overtime. No, this is a win. Like this
We're,
is a game that we were cooking in this
all right.
one.
So we're giving ourselves a win there. All right, Tampa Bay -2, and we're 0 for 2. We'll keep that a loss. That's fine. And then we had Anaheim where we're -2 and we were 1 for 3.
No, this
That can
game we got
stay.
destroyed. We got destroyed.
And then just Dallas. We lose by 1. We're 1 for 4 in the power play. So do we take that
I
to
gotta be
overtime?
honest
Do
with
we?
you. I gotta be honest with you. I don't think we were putting any more pucks past Ottinger if we had another 6 power plays. Like he was just on one. So let's just leave that as a loss.
You want to? All right, all right. We'll leave that as a
Yeah,
loss
I
then.
do. He was
I'd be willing to
insane,
give us
man.
one. I'll be giving us a one. I'd be willing to give us 1 point there. Just, I mean, that's just the latest game we remember. You know what I mean?
I know.
But
I know.
all
Okay,
right.
let's tally it up.
So this really isn't terrible. Like, I mean, as far as like extra points from what we just did, you're looking at 4, 6, 7 extra points from that exercise there. So
Okay, and I'm gonna look at the standings right now.
I think we're
Seven
10
extra
out.
points.
So you're right there.
7 extra points would put us at 55.
Yep.
Okay,
And right now,
where would we be?
wild card one is 58 points.
So we'd be in the mix, man. We'd be
You'd
just in
be
the mix.
you'd be in the mix, and I think we were honestly even a little hard on ourselves. Like even if we got 1 or 2 more points out of what that exercise we just did, like you're literally right there. That is the difference in the season. Like that's what we've been saying all along. It's so frustrating. I mean, just to sum this up, I mean the in our losses, the power play is a combined 11 for 83, 13%.
Oh my God. So to say that 13%, right? I'm looking. I actually had it pulled up here. 13%, if that was for the full season, would be second last in the league, and second last in the league is 13.2. So we are
Who's
running
last
at
in the league right now? Is it the Sharks?
it's Chicago at
Chicago. Okay.
12.4.
Yeah. So almost dead last in the league.
We're
So
currently 28th power play at 14.4%.
it's just the one thing that is totally sinking our season. And the thing with this too is like if the power play was somewhat like even if you won a few of these games, like some of these other like shit performances that you lose, like maybe they don't happen because like you just pulled out a big win and like you gain some momentum. You know, like it can have such a more positive effect than just the 7 points that we went into. I mean, that could really be a range anywhere from like 7 to 12. Like you just don't know what one domino effect could really trigger as far as like getting a team rolling or getting some confidence under a young team. So I don't know. I just wanted to do that because, like I said, we mentioned it, and it was an exercise where I was just like, yeah, like this is. I mean, how many games have we watched this year where after we're like, yep, PP cost us in that game? It's
Yeah, I
just
mean it's been obvious for we watched almost every single. single game. I mean, I would say 99% of the games we've either one of us has tuned in or both of us, and yeah, the power play is a disgrace. I mean, we're like I said, we're running at a 14.4% for the season. The only teams worse than us are Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, and Chicago.
Yeah.
So like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's a disgrace. And earlier in the year, we're like, oh, will the Sabres have a top five power play? And both of us were
Yep.
like, hell
Yep.
yeah, they will. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The other thing with that too, and one thing I want to talk about here is it makes it really hard to come back in games, and that's something that the Sabres have not been able to do. Like I ran these stats too, like, and I don't think we've shared these on the show before, but we've talked about these before. So like this team is not clearly everyone knows this. Like they're not good at scoring the first goal, and it's very important for this team to score first. Like when we score first, the Sabres are 16-4 when they score first. So 80% of the time, when they score the first goal, they're winning that game. When they score second, they're 6-24, which
oh
which
man.
is only a 20% win percent. So like literally, it's like if you score first, 80% chance of losing. If you score second, or if you score first, 80% chance of winning. If you score second, 80% chance of losing.
Yeah.
It's so patterned. And when you have part of that is when you get a break, when you get a power play, if you can't net it, it's already hard enough to score in this league. And when you have a power play that's not helping out, it's one less way that you're generating offense.
Yeah. It I'm just frustrated because they're just better than this. And I think
Yeah.
they've proven that over the last couple months here that something special could have happened and the players and the coaches and management all failed. They failed the fans.
Yeah, I would have liked to see just a little bit more urgency from them like early on in the season. Like it was a lot of, I don't know if they were just trying to like prove that like, hey, like we're, even though we're young, like we're not, the moment's not too big for us, we're not going to let it get to us. But like, I don't know, I felt like there wasn't that urgency early on in the season, and things were slipping away. And I just kept watching interviews and everyone, and it was just, oh, the season is still young, we still got time, we can go on a run, we just gotta find our compete, we just gotta be willing to work for it. And then here you go, before you know it, you blink and it's February 7th, and you're 10 points out of the playoffs with less than a 3% chance to make it. So frustrating, very frustrating for sure. All right, you got anything else here before we go on
Yeah.
to, yeah, we, because
Well,
we want to do like
let's
some
just
playoff predictions here next, but we can
let's just
wrap
lead
up
in.
whatever you
I
want.
only included this. We're gonna talk about like a little bit of who's in, who's out. I only included this because there's been some Detroit Red Wings discourse today on the timeline and surrounding Buffalo, showing that like Detroit is in the mix and the Sabres are not. Well, I got news for you guys because I don't think Detroit is making the playoffs. Yes, they are very good in their last 10. But like Vancouver, they're absolutely shooting the lights out and they're getting good goaltending. Detroit, in my opinion, is going to be caught by either the Islanders or the Penguins. I don't think long term their roster holds up
Or the Devils. I
for
mean, shit, the Devils.
or
The
the
Devils get
Devils.
Jack Quinn back. I mean, I would pick all three of those teams right now over the Red Wings.
There is a possibility with the way that we're like it's crazy that they're 6-2-2 in their last 10 because their underlines are like not good. Like we have better numbers than them. Like they're us right now. They are us from last season with a power play. That's how they're playing.
Yeah.
They fall back to earth like how they should play. That team is missing the playoffs. And I also want to highlight another team here. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Holy fuck. I just read that they had to you. I just brought up that they're like the third worst power play. How in the world is that team having the third worst power play with Malkin, Crosby, Carlson, Gensel? Like, dude, what? I feel like their power play situation is more egregious than ours. Like, if I was a Penguins fan, I would be just
I
moving
mean,
hella.
they just stand around too. I haven't caught many Penguins
They
games
do,
this year,
dude.
but
They
that's
do.
that's what everyone
It's
says.
this. It is the same exact system that we do. They have Crosby on the right flank, Carlson up top, Malkin kind of like in the bumper area, and then Gensel like down low where like Tuck usually stands, and whoever the fuck else they have out there on the left side, I have no idea. Some maybe Brian Rust, maybe he's been hurt, I have no idea. But dude, they are the same way. It's a 14%. Like the power play is sinking the Penguins season. And
Oh yeah,
they're only at 53 points because Sidney Crosby is having an insane season at 37 years old.
yeah. Well, I
I
mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know who the good teams are in the East.
No,
Like I
it's an actual mess.
like Boston are the Bruins really good? Like are they really 71 points good or what? Like are they going to fall? I have no idea. The Panthers, I think the Panthers are great. The Panthers play fun games. The Lightning,
Yeah, the
eh.
Panthers are my
I
top
mean,
team in the East.
eh. The Lightning are just like the Kucherov is having an insane season. Kucherov has like 86 points already.
Yeah, yeah.
The Rangers, I've saw some Rangers discourse where they're bitching too about their play. The Hurricanes are the Hurricanes, and the Flyers are the biggest surprise in the league. So the current playoff teams in the East are all very, very strange to me. Well, I mean, not strange in the terms that they're in the playoffs, but those bottom teams, I could see the Flyers popping out and the Islanders popping in. I could see the Red Wings popping out and the Devils or the Penguins popping in. Like the East playoff race is pretty fucking tight this year, and it's pretty exciting.
Dude, I don't know, man. I think the Flyers are gonna kind of get in. Like
Yeah, I think so too. It's awesome.
they're
It's a
just
fun story.
yeah, they're just playing good. I mean, they just beat the Panthers last night 2-1. Like they've beat some good teams, and like I don't know, man. They're right there. But yeah, I I don't know. The East is a big mess. I'm with you on the Red Wings. Like I certainly can see them kind of falling down. I have much more faith in the Devils and the Islanders. Honestly, even the Penguins, even though that power play is a mess. Which like I mean we've said before with the Sabres, like our veterans like holding them accountable and like I just have such a hard time that like how is Crosby of all people allowing that to happen? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
how is that
he's
happening
got to
with
be
him
going
there?
crazy. He's got to be
Yeah.
going crazy. He's the most competitive guy in the fucking league besides McKinnon.
Yeah, and he's
I
like a
feel like he,
psycho, so there's
yeah.
no way. I don't know what is going
They're
on
running
there.
the same. It's the same power play as us, basically, and they have four Hall of Famers in that power play.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
don't
and
know.
then in the West too, man. I feel like I was gonna bring up the West, but I think the West is kind of boring this year because I think LA turns around their like little skid here that got McClellan fired, and I think the Blues are gonna sneak in. But besides that, it's like I think Nashville drops off, and I think Seattle drops off, and that's like it for contending teams for the West.
Yeah.
It's kind of locked
The
in
West
my
is top
opinion. Like
heavy.
yeah,
Like the top 3 in the West, like Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, like those are all good teams and then even the Pacific, Vancouver, Vegas, Edmonton, those are all good. And then yeah, the wild card is just kind of a mess. I think the wild card teams, whoever it ends up being, is going to be irrelevant anyways in the West. But yeah, the East, like you said, it's just a mess. I think Florida's probably my top team. Tampa Bay is just like they're just that team that they just know how to win. You know, like they're just
yeah.
gonna get it done. They're just always gonna be there. And then I like I actually like the Hurricanes over the Rangers. I mean they're behind 6 points right now to the Rangers. They got two games in hand on them, but that's a team that I could see making a little bit of a run towards the Rangers and actually getting in first. But then the wild card's going to be a mess. Toronto's going to get in there, and then that second one is going to go to I don't know. Like I said, right now I'd probably put my money on the Islanders and then the Devils as far as the East is concerned for that wild
I
card 2 spot.
all this to say that I love the NHL trade deadline, and I know it's kind of not the most exciting thing, but with so many teams, like you got your teams like in the West that are ready to go, and like we've already seen them load up a little bit. I'm curious to see how a team like Edmonton matches that. And then in the East, I'm gonna be curious to see which teams are like, all right, we're in. We're gonna try to get in. Like I could see the Red Wings foolishly like making another trade just to try to get in,
Yeah,
and it'll be just exciting to see. I mean, trade deadline is what, next month already? It's already February,
yeah, March
so
8th.
it's
It's
oh,
literally 30 days away.
it's an exciting time in the league right now. And if the Sabres aren't gonna make the playoffs, I'll be excited to watch some of these other teams.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's good. I mean, the playoff hockey is always great. It just stinks that the Sabres will never be there. But I mean, the Sabres are 6-2 and their last time there. They're starting to pick it up. I think what were they 7-4 in January. So we'll see
Yeah,
what they can
not
do.
good
And
enough though.
yeah, no, not good enough, especially for how they cratered at the beginning of the season. But all right, we can move on from there unless you got anything else on that.
I got nothing. I feel like that was good hockey discussion for an hour, honestly. So let's get into a
Yeah.
little some fun stuff because we got some shit talking we want to do.
All right, I'm gonna start off with my goofball, and my goofball is none other than Nikita Kucherov. And everyone knows, I'm sure everyone's seen the video by now of this dude just like lackadaisically just going through the skills competition, and it was just like, I don't know, man, it's just like a bad look. It's like I don't know who was announcing. I don't know if it was Buchagras or whoever was calling it, and it was like, I think they like noticed like that he was not taking it serious, but it was like not sinking in because it's just like, is he really doing this? And then like the call afterwards was just like, you can tell this isn't like his cup of tea or whatever, you know. But I'm like even as he's going, like you can see all his like colleagues, like players, you know, sitting there, and they're just like, they look pissed off too. It's like, come on, dude, like that's just not cool. Like maybe none of us want to be here, but like don't do that. To me, it just was like, I'm better than you guys, and it's like, listen, you're all hockey players. Like I don't know, that just annoyed me.
Dude, I've saw so much discourse on online sticking up for him, where it's like, oh, he'd rather be like on vacation, and it's like, well, he's not. He's an
Yeah.
NHL player being paid a shitload of money to, he's a brand. Like he is an ambassador to the league during this weekend. And
But
I
also,
I
couldn't he have said no? Like, if he really didn't want to go,
I
like, couldn't
mean,
he have
he
just
could
said
take a
no?
one game he could take a 1 game suspension
Is
if he
that what
said
it
no.
is?
Yeah. But like if you don't really want to go, then fucking take the 1 game suspension, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But so he goes there and sandbags the thing and you saying the players look mad. They showed McDavid at one point and he looked like, what is going on here? Like this is so stupid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
for him to go and not like even try is kind of like a slap in the face to the league in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not even that mad about it. I'm more just like this is like it's so dumb. Like it's for the kids. You're there to like put on a show. Just go do it. Like what's wrong with you, dude? Like come on.
Yeah. Also, like, dude, this is your job. Like you're literally like employed by the NHL. Like you get paid millions and millions of dollars to play hockey. And it's like, if they're saying, hey, you got to go to this like weekend seminar or the all-star game, like just go do it, because at the end of the day, like you literally play a game for your career and you make millions and millions of dollars doing it. So like life isn't all that bad, dude.
Yeah, I feel like it's dumb. But let's move on from Kucherov because he definitely earned a spot on our goofball of the week there. But my goofball is none other than your favorite offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. So Ken Dorsey, you guys, Ken Dorsey had himself a hell of an opening press conference as the new offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns because he said that Deshaun Watson is quote unquote a good person. Yeah, Ken, I'm sure. The quarterback that solicited rub and tugs, that pressured women into touching him in the places that, you know, the unprofessional places and the sexual assaulter himself, I don't think is a good person at all. So great job, Ken. Great job, bud. Like, I'm sure in private you don't really think that, and you got to say that in public because that's the quarterback. But my God,
Oh yeah, sure.
you really made yourself look stupid there. And I don't know how anyone can be a fan of that team or him with them employing him. But Ken Dorsey made an ass of himself, and hey, we didn't like him here, so it's nice to poke fun at him for this.
Dude, oh my god, I cannot stand this guy. Like,
I know
I,
it's you have the most disdain for this man than anyone that I've ever seen.
dude, he just, I could not the whole time he was here, and I get it. Like, I've said this on the show before. Like, Bill's analytics, like the numbers were good when he was here. Like the offense was good, but like it was not good. Like it was a bad system. It didn't work, and he just pissed me off in his like interviews because he's just he is a goofball. Like he's just a goofball, and he looks like I don't know. He just looked like whenever I see pictures of him, he just looks like I wouldn't. I just would don't like him. You know, like it's just I'm just like if I had to sit next to this guy, I'd be like, what is this guy doing? Like I don't know. So I just have this general disdain for him. But then when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like the icing on the cake for me, the actual icing on the cake. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how he does there. But I'm just so
Not the
glad
best
he's gone.
start.
I'm just so glad he's gone.
Yeah, I mean the Bills have made a ton of coaching staff changes over the last couple of days, and it's exciting. It's exciting that they got some new blood coming into the building. It's exciting that they promoted a lot of guys that I think deserve promotion. Like Joe Brady is the permanent offensive coordinator, and Bobby Babich is promoted to defensive coordinator, and he's got like a great reputation around the league and even on our own team where he has spent a lot of time at different positions, like coaching different positions, and wherever Bobby Babich goes, that position is like the best defensive position on the team. So I'm excited for him to take over the defense. I think the Bills are in pretty good hands. I don't think the Bills are goofballs at all. I'll say that. I feel so much better about the Bills than I did a couple weeks ago after the loss to Kansas City.
No, but dude, when you say like that, doesn't it make you like want to just say like the Sabres coaching staff is a bunch of goofballs? Like
Yeah, because okay, dude.
the
So let
Bills
me
have
interrupt.
literally gone from like other organizations have plucked their people, Dayball, this guy, to like come like Eric Washington just got hired. Like other teams are literally saying, I want your guys, and like it doesn't even matter. It's just the next guy up because not only are there like coaches that are in positions to actually like do the jobs are prepared for it. They're literally like thinking way ahead and already know a plan just in case. Like their coaching staff, their management is just leagues above the Sabres. And that's where I do have a gripe with Granado because I'm like McDermott McDermott runs all this. He's the headmaster of all the coaches. Like he's the one holding people accountable and stuff. And like
All
if
right, Harry
it
Potter.
yeah, he is though. And if like and if all of our assistant coaches are bad, and I mean we're assuming they are, but like if our coaching is a big part of the problem, well, like who's at the helm of that? It's Donnie Meatballs. Like obviously he's not getting the best out of these guys, and he is not clearly not getting the best out of himself. The guy can't even handle a press conference. So I don't know. It just when hearing you talk about that, I just could not help but be like, this is so far off from the Sabres. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
dude, another point there. Like the biggest indictment on the Sabres assistant coaching staff is when Granado. Why didn't he coach those games? Like he was sick, maybe. Do you remember? A couple, like
He
maybe a
was
month
sick.
ago. And instead of having like an assistant run the show, they had to bring up Seth Appert from Rochester. Like, what an indictment on your staff that like a guy
Yeah,
can't
no,
handle like for two
absolutely. Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying. It is a great point, but the
Which by the
dichotomy
way, did you
between oh, I'm gonna fucking say something here about the word dichotomy because I got yelled at by my buddy for saying it for using it in the wrong context. I think I know what it means, and if you don't think I know what it means, I'm gonna use it again. The dichotomy between the Sabres and the Bills could not be more different because like the Bills are one
I
of the
think
best
that's right.
the Bills are one of the best run organizations in sport, and the Sabres are like down there with the fucking Sacramento Kings, man. Like we're just terrible.
They're with the Browns. They're with the Cleveland Browns.
No, we're the Pittsburgh Pirates of the NHL.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. That is so true.
Oh,
Um,
this was great. This was real great, man. I miss this a lot. Like I know we needed this break a little bit, but I came in rejuvenated.
well, let's look ahead. Let's look ahead here because we'll probably. I'm looking at the schedule for the next week. We'll probably be back next Wednesday since we play
Yep.
on Saturday and then Tuesday. So we'll have two games to chat about between this show and next. Of course, any news that comes out and around the league stuff, we'll make sure we get to too. But we'll have two more home games. So Saturday afternoon game, 1 o'clock against St. Louis, and then we got the Kings on Tuesday night at 7. What's your prediction here for the next two games?
It's frustrating. Who do we play on Saturday?
We play the Blues on Saturday and then the Kings on Tuesday.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I think we come away with 2 wins. I
Every time. every every fucking time. It never gets old.
dude,
We
it's
could
because
have
I
like 9
it's
games in a week and you'd be like, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think we're gonna win all 9.
dude, it's because I love this team so much. I but the fucking frustrating thing is we just spent an hour and 16 minutes talking about how they're not actually that bad. So it's so annoying.
That is hilarious. That is
What
so
are you
funny.
thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Ah, man. I don't know, man. I mean, I'd like to be optimistic about it, but I'm just not. I feel like no, I'll give us 1-1. I feel like we can. I like the way that we played last game. If they carry that into the weekend and they got an afternoon game, I feel like they can beat St. Louis, but I feel like we might lose to the Kings. I'll give us a loser point in that though. I'll go 3 out of 4 points
All right, that's
here.
fair. That's fair.
Home and away doesn't really matter for the Sabres this year. Like last year they really struggled at home and they were really good on the road. This year they're pretty much have identical records. Like they're 11, 13 and 1 at home and then 11, 11 and 3 on the road. So literally 11 and 14 in both scenarios. So like home away isn't a factor really for this team. But all right, anything else here before we wrap up, Rye?
Not gonna lie, dude, and let's just full disclosure. I drank too much Pink Whitney today. I am so sleepy now that after we log off, I'm gonna go to bed. And it's
Dude,
gonna be glorious. And I had a fucking great time getting back on the podcast. It was awesome. And you know
well,
what?
shout out to that Pink Whitney.
Yeah, shout out to this. I just crushed this. And I got no other shout outs. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Shout out Eric, you're the man. And that's about it.
I have one shout out actually. I actually do have to shout out Eric and
Yeah,
my
congrats,
sister.
dude. Congrats, man. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So they are expecting baby number 2, and they're having a little girl, and I couldn't be more excited for them. And they already have one awesome, beautiful little girl, my niece Maeve, and she's just like the best, and she loves me. She was always like uncle, uncle, and she's just so awesome. So I'm really excited that she's gonna have a little sister here, and yeah, we they had a gender reveal party over the weekend, and we found that out. So that's super exciting, and we can't wait to meet the little one here in about 6 months. So yeah.
So good, man. I love that.
All right. Well, we will end it there. And if you're still listening, you know what to do. Head over to Twitter and follow the show at Saber Spotlights. We will have our Twitter handles in the show notes as well. If you guys have any feedback, any questions that you want to have submitted to the show that you want us to talk about, just at Saber Spotlight at gmail.com. That's also linked in the show notes there. And but go ahead and follow us over on those. We love interacting with the fans between the games. We're always posting a bunch of stuff during the games as well. So with that, we will head out of here tonight, but we will be back next week. See ya.
See ya.